Welcome everyone to another episode of our podcast, Conscious Health Podcast. In today's topic, we are going to discuss intuition as a gateway to living in alignment, because that's my personal opinion, but I think that right now not so many people have intuition and they are just depleting that amazing wisdom of the body just because they are too busy connected and the instantaneous rewards that we are looking for. So what do you think, Natasha? And welcome, of
Well,
course.
thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, David. No, I disagree with you. I think we're all born with intuition. I think we suppress it.
Yeah.
Is more the way of saying. I think that is our natural ability to navigate this world. But I think we're taught to not trust it. We're taught to ignore it. And I
Hmm.
think that we're taught to think about things in a certain way, and intuition tends to lose its value. However, I dedicate a lot of my time helping people connect to their intuition, whether it's in their lives or whether it's in their businesses, or in their work, their careers, because I think that is what makes us human, especially in the world of AI. It's always trusting that that gut instinct. But you know what? Some of the top successful business people will trust their gut instinct right away. Because you know what? What happens is our intuition is constantly telling us. It's like our GPS system.
Hmm.
It takes our ego 3 seconds to start to convince us that we're wrong. That first instinct of like, don't walk in there, and we're like, oh, it's fine. That's the ego, right? It's that ego gets a bad rep. There's plenty of place for ego, but we're so rooted in a different way of thinking and so rooted in ignoring our intuition that we feel lost. Not only that, so many things that affect our intuition, because I mean, our intuition is primarily it's our pineal gland, our hypothalamus, it's our heart space, it's our gut, all working to our nervous system, all working together as a reception kind of like information. It processes the information, and then within split seconds, we receive the information. We've read the environment. We know what we're doing or not doing, and we're so taught to just bypass that, right?
Yes.
As we move on. But it's yeah, our intuition, I always say the quicker, the more you trust, the more you'll get, because our ego tries to keep us safe and they're like, no, don't do that, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything that you are saying. And well, I think that people kind of think that they lack this feeling because they have suppressed it so much time that
Mm-hmm.
they don't longer know how to use it, and they are completely disconnected from their bodies, probably since they were a child. So that's the sad story, because usually we live in this hectic rhythm of prescribing everything to resolve what you are feeling, no? And you want a pill to not feel the headache, you want a pill to feel more energy, you want a pill for anything, or you no longer know how to be bored, how to be in that space of peacefulness and calmness, and you need distractions. And when you enter into that space, you can't really listen to your body because you are distracted and you are feeling what the device is making you feel. So
Yeah.
you are releasing this cocktail of neurotransmitters and chemical messages of anxiety. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
this is also very close. There is a very thin line between the anxious response that people
Mm-hmm.
have, this reactivity, and the line where you separate yourself and you have space to listen to what you are thinking, to let's see, to create your own response to what is happening in your life. And then that's the point where you separate and you enter into this intuitive rhythm and intuitive realm where you can feel even how your heart is beating, no?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right in that, because again, we're taught to ignore our bodies, we're taught to ignore our thoughts, we're taught to ignore everything else, and just move on with it. Suck it up, move on, let's keep going. You don't have time. You don't have, like, how many times, like, do we get a cold and we ignore it and we push through it? How many times, you know, does something happen and we ignore it and we just push through it? And it's our intuition, again, it's built on past experiences. It's built on something that's innate as well, right? We have a subconscious pattern recognition that is constantly happening. We know, we can feel the energy, as I say, like, before somebody is attacked, a lot of the times they know it's
Mm-hmm.
coming,
Yes.
right? How many times, like, I've had, unfortunately, a couple of car accidents, had it, I knew.
Mm.
There's, like, everything slows down, into that
Yeah.
whole slow motion. We know. And you were talking about, we've suppressed it ever since we were young. Absolutely. How many times did the monster under the bed, in the closet, or whatever, get told, oh, it's nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So knowing that, like, my grandfather used to say, what color is it? What does it look like? What does it smell like? Kind of a thing. Instead of, like, we need to build that curiosity into that. What is it? What does it look like? What does it sound like? Because not only that, sometimes when we work, there's very different types of intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, different ways of intuiting things. Some of us have a knowing, some of us can hear things, some of us can see things, some of us dream things, some of us, you know, whatever it is, there's usually, we call them clair abilities, so we're either clairvoyant, clairsentient, whatever it might be. So usually we tend to work, those are the extra sensory perceptions, but they're not extra. They're our first sensory perceptions before the body. Again, the body is always the last one to respond to all of these things. It first happens in our thoughts, then our emotions, and then the body. So by the time our body responds, our mind, our spirit, our soul, we all know what's going on, the energy around us. We're picking up that information. Our nervous system is picking that up. Our pineal gland, it's transmitting that. It's translating that as we move from day to day. Whether we're doing it kind of like in our lives, like business decisions that happen, they're like, we know it feels right, it's in alignment, let's go, you know. But the body is the last protocol, again, that we feel it. It already happens in our mind, in our emotions, everything activates that, I think, I believe.
Yeah. When you are feeling those kind of symptoms and when you allow yourself to build up on that kind of, let's say, distorted pattern of frequency that you enter. Because if we go, let's say, very deep into what is happening in our cells when we start having this disruption, is just a disorder in the frequency of
Yeah.
our own cells that we are pulling from the field that we are living in, no? And we transmit that kind of erratic frequencies to our lives. And I recently, more or less like a month ago, I recorded a chapter, an episode on this science of the intuitive signals. And I was amazed how much time before the body and the field that you
Yeah.
have all that information senses everything. And we have one big tool that covers practically the whole body, which is this vagus nerve. And through the vagus nerve is how we perceive the signals. And it's like our monitoring system in the whole body that is giving us these multiple signals, first electrical, then they become chemical, and then
Yeah,
we can start feeling more in the body.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that
It's
is what,
true.
yeah.
It's true. But then there's another factor. The foods that we eat, the sugar processed foods, also create. So, for example, if we look at it from a, first of all, if we look at our nervous system, we're all so stressed these days. Anxiety has become a normality. There's so much happening all the time that we're not able to receive the information because we're in such a state of fight or flight. The other aspect of it, if we look at it at our pineal gland, the types of foods that we eat as well, not only do they dumb down our gut,
Mhm.
because our gut is another form of getting intuition, but our pineal gland, they start to create a coat. And I love sugar. I'm addicted to ice cream. I need to stop that now. But it almost kind of like coats the pineal gland as well. So, and on top of that, we're told that the sun is bad.
Mm.
And the sun
Yeah.
is not bad. If you actually look into the sun the first 30 minutes as the sun is up, it'll actually activate your pineal gland, will activate your intuition. I started
Yeah.
training from so many years of wearing sunglasses. I've now started training to my eyes to be in the sun because sometimes I used to get headaches because of the clarity, but I've started to develop this way where I'm starting to actually be in the sun a lot more, not only for the vitamin D, but from the, it gives us energy, right? And I don't know, I think there's so many more chemicals in the sunblock that we use, than the actual, moderating how much time we spend in the sun as well. So I think there's a lot of things that dampen or hinder our intuition that we're unaware of, besides the normal kind of like not believing in it, like thinking it's whatever. And there's been a lot of studies that have been done now, that are starting to show that when we, and again, there's a lot of executives, I think it's about 87% of executives will make their decisions based, not only based on data, but intuition as well. Like the data's not enough.
Mhm.
It's almost kind of like you need to go that extra step and build that intuition. So they'll never make a decision based just only on data. It's that feeling, is the data accurate? Because again, I've done marketing, so data can be skewed in many ways, right? But you have to have that intuitive, kind of like we've all got intuitive abilities, but we need to have that hit that says, yeah, this is the way we're going to go forward based on this data,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And I think that everything that you are mentioning leads to start talking about also these different layers that we have in the, let's say, in picking up the signal, no?
Mm-hmm.
For example, when you have your phone, it has a SIM card and it has also a Wi-Fi. So you can
Yeah.
either have a call through the SIM and the antennas of your provider, your mobile provider, or you can
Yeah.
have also now calls through the Wi-Fi, no?
Yeah.
And I think I make the analogy of our body to that
Yeah.
stream of information because
Yeah.
our heart is the one that is more attuned to
Mm.
all of these signals of the field that we can't even see, we can perceive, of course, but
Yeah.
we have this access, and it takes 3 to 5 seconds before the information arrives to the brain.
Yeah.
Your heart is already sensing that.
Sensing it.
3 to 5 seconds is a lot of time
It
in
is a lot
terms.
of time.
Just tell that to an athlete that lost a match or something, and you will know how
Yeah.
much time is 3 to 5 seconds. So it's a lot of time. And then the speed of intuition is 1.5 seconds before the brain receives the information. So the
Information.
last one to know is your brain. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's because what happens is the signal comes in, it moves in, it comes in, and I got, you'll be able to correct me whether it comes in through the hypothalamus, it processes through the pineal gland. It hits all the way down to the heart. The heart says, this is what's happening. And I'm sure it goes all the way down to the gut, comes up, and then the thought process comes out. It comes out as the form of thought. But the
mhm,
intuitive side is already there, which is with that 1.5 seconds, it's already, it's like a TV. It works in kind of like those old box TVs where it
mhm,
comes in, processes it, and then creates that picture, is what's happening with that. But if we interrupt that, and actually that is one thing that I noticed, and it's going to be very controversial. One of the first clients that I did Reiki with during the COVID vaccine, one of the
mhm,
vaccines, I can't remember which one it was now, I called it a topped and tailed people. So it created what I saw was a very dark film that covered energetically around the person. So not only were you not able to ground, so you couldn't anchor, you couldn't ground, you were stuck in the sphere, you also couldn't receive intuition
mhm.
because it had blocked that chakra. So it was almost kind of like it had absolutely enclosed people and encapsulated people. And that client of mine was getting nightmares until we cleared that out. And it got to a stage where I could tell by then who had been vaccinated and who hadn't, and what the protocol was to actually remove that, which was quite interesting. But so interesting that when we look at, it's the intuition that is dismissed constantly or attacked, I suppose, in that way, which I found very interesting from, because intuition helps us to think for ourselves. It helps
Exactly.
us to see beyond, right? You can't
Hmm.
control somebody's intuition because they're reading from the field. You can't control the, well, I suppose you can to a certain extent, but you can't really control the field, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. And these are the tools that people have. Sometimes they don't even know them because, as we mentioned, they were not taught to feel their bodies, to know what was happening with them, to have some moments of peacefulness and boredom. And sometimes um, it just comes with the program of the society, no, that
Yeah.
keeps you disconnected because it's easier to manipulate you if you are disconnected from your body. If you know and if you have this wisdom and information, of course that you are going to decide different and you are not going to take the same road that everyone else. and
Yeah.
and that's the level of your, I think that's so let's say magical, because I don't find another word. Science
Yeah.
is just very short in terms of tapping into this kind of phenomena, because we don't have the still, even though we have a lot of advancements, we don't have the level of speed, let's say, to pick up on those uh, frequencies of information, no, let's say. And one of the most amazing mechanism that we have is the interoception, which is what you were mentioning. And just so
Yeah.
people know what is interoception, is all of the sensations that you have in your body, the slight changes that it they are happening even as we speak. All of those are gut responses, is the heart activity,
Mm.
all of these things, and they are projected through the cortex. So from the level of the gut, from the level of your heart, this information flows to the top. So it's from the bottom to the top, not
Up.
the other way around. And this is the level of, um, let's say, hunches that you can have, no? Or sweating in your hands or whatever it is, as it is being manifested in your body, no? Every person is different.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So there's the intuition, there's the interception, and then there's the introspection. So both the first two are unconscious. The
Hmm.
introspection, it brings it from the top back down again because it's that conscious thought. Okay, why did I react that way? You know, how did it work out for me? How can I change my response in the future? So it becomes almost kind of like that knowledge and wisdom that you've actually received from those areas. So I think we're talking about that today. It's like the three eyes, the intuition, which is bringing in from the, I suppose, the unconscious to the conscious, right? And then the interoception, which is without your body knowing, is just talking to you. And then the introspection, which is kind of like reflecting on what just happened and how to improve that. And we can apply that to all, like everything in our lives as well.
Exactly. And what you were mentioning about introspection in even more, let's say, scientific terms, it's
Mm-hmm.
the processing of the region of your head, the prefrontal cortex, that has this capacity of utilizing the information from your body, from the markers, from all the signals that first were they were sort of electrical signals, then they
Yeah,
become chemical signals, then your body can decodify this information, and
yeah,
then it will calculate the choices and the value that each choice it has. So that's the introspection. But this level of thought,
yeah,
I I think I don't know how much percentage of people can have this introspection. I mean, they all have the capacity, but nowadays we see that so few people and a very few percentage of people have this time to have this introspection, to allow the the value of and the wisdom. And that's why they feel this anxiety because they don't trust in themselves. They lose
yeah.
completely the trust in their own wisdom.
Abilities, yeah. And that's the thing. The beautiful thing about intuition is you start going to outside validation and you start going to internal belief system, right? You start to build that belief that you've always known, right? And it's not about, and for me it's not a knowing, it's a remembering.
Hmm.
Like I've always said, to whenever I'm teaching a class, I always say I'm not teaching you anything, I'm reminding you of what you already know. It's a remembrance, right? But I think that I think at society as a whole right now, introspecting is a luxury
Hmm. Yeah.
because our lives are so fast. If we don't make space for it, it's like if we don't make space for meditation, if we don't make space for the gym, if we need to see it as valuable as a part of our lives. So whether it's, you know, taking that time, it's just about journaling, like 5 minutes, and journaling. But we need to make it as important as eating, breathing, going to the gym, whatever it might be. But if we look at intuition, interception, and introspection, I look at it as, mind, body, and soul,
Hmm.
right? From those three, it's like it brings in that completion, that circle. And I think a lot of the times we can start anywhere. If we looked at it as a triangle, we can start anywhere in that triangle, or even I suppose a circle is much better. But sometimes the information comes the other way around as well. So sometimes by introspecting, you get the interception because it brings in an emotion will activate it, and then your intuition will say, "Okay, no, this is right. That's not right. This is, where do we go from here?" Which is quite interesting as well.
And I think that this is what we are witnessing right now. And even I was talking with my other co-host in the other podcast about these topics that children nowadays seem so disconnected from what they are feeling and what they want to do sometimes. And they are being isolated too much in the space of being mindlessly going into these devices, either playing video games or watching these small content videos and getting distracted, that when you talk to many of them, how are you feeling? They don't know how to answer. They don't know how to answer because they don't have time, as you mentioned, and it's that luxury of feeling what the body is telling them, and starting to know this space of that is uncomfortable, of course, and that is this uncertainty is what creates the anxiety, because they sometimes they are almost scared of being without devices, without noise, without things.
Mm.
And if you tell them, no, you won't have devices, you won't have this, you won't have that, figure it out. What are you going to do? So let your mind wander and let your mind create something, imagine
Mm.
a game, imagine something, and let's see what comes and what comes up about it and how you feel. This is the most interesting part. How do you feel? Because
Yeah.
you know, if you don't learn since you are children to handle this uncertainty, to handle the future of what is going to happen,
Yeah.
then we become these, let's say, how would you say, peasants. We become peasants to technology and to what everything is telling us to do. And we start feeling this anxiety more and more and more. And we completely stop the feelings of the God required to navigate these complex systems where we really can figure it out. Many times in our lives, we don't know how to solve a problem. We don't know how to, let's say, start talking about certain questions, difficult questions, of course, in life. And what is going to give us the answer, what is going to give us the direction is the body, is this
Yeah.
access to this level of wisdom, is not the AI, is not ChatGPT, is not any other platform
Mm.
that you are using, and is not social media or other people that you are being influenced by. No.
Yeah. I mean, I think our kids these days, it's such a strange era to be a child in, right?
Hmm.
Because you know how I said in the beginning, we don't have the luxury to introspect. We don't have the luxury to sit still. We don't have the luxury. We've almost created that for our children with, if you think about that scrolling, decision fatigue. No
Hmm.
longer do we say, hey, this is what dinner is. They don't have to decide what dinner is. But now we're asking them, what do you want for dinner? We're asking them, what do you want to get dressed? We're asking them, we're constantly, instead of saying, hey, and it's not about suppressing their creativity, but it's about, I think we force decisions onto children so quickly, they're not able to be children.
Hmm.
And I've almost been like one of those, like, it's like, and yes, sometimes I'll say to my kids, like, hey, what do you feel like for dinner if I'm like stuck? But it's like, it's not really it's one of those things, kids these days, and even in scrolling, we think it's just mindless. It's not mindless. They're deciding from one reel to the next. Do they like it? Don't they like it? Is it captivating enough? What is it saying? Do I go into the next one? Do I stay? Is this person cool? Does it align with my values? Does it all of these within seconds of scrolling, we're constantly making these decisions, which is, I think it's like a system overload. So what happens is your nervous system is completely taxed, and then you can't receive your intuition. And it's done.
Exactly.
It's like it's completely. I've been doing these 21-day challenges in my community, and we do these 21 days. It's 20 days, 20 of meditation or whatever it is, and And one of the ones that I did was on abundance and prosperity.
Hmm.
And you know, if our nervous system is taxed, it's full. It can't receive.
Yeah.
If we're buzzing like this, there's nothing to pour in because we're in such a state. We're not magnetizing towards us. We're magnetizing more chaos. We're magnetizing more of what, it has to happen from internally. But absolutely super stressed. It's like it's like you said, that anxiety comes in because yet it's yet another decision, yet another exam, yet another, thing that happens. I don't know. It's my perspective.
No, I think it aligns perfectly with the science, and I'm loving this conversation because we are blending the two
Mm.
realms of the spirituality that you are mentioning with
Hmm.
the science that it's happening in our bodies. And this overload of information is when your working memory collapses and you don't have
Mm.
the level of the decision in these
Yeah,
modern workflows that we are moving that are so fast and so bombarded by multiple streams of information. You don't
yeah,
have this time, this luxury of time to
yeah,
decide, and then you fracture the
yeah.
selective processes, and you have too much divided attention, and this
Hmm.
multiple division of attention that your brain is not designed for that. And
Yeah.
let's clarify that, because people think, oh, I am multitasking. No, you are not doing anything. You are just damaging your brain. That's what you are doing, no? Because the average load of people that they receive of information, and this is something that I made the research on, is 117 emails and
Hmm.
153 messages, chat messages.
Yeah.
Plus, adding that to if you are scrolling in a social media platform, that's just too much. So
Yeah.
this is this is a technical term that is the bottleneck, and it is called the Miller's law. And this Miller's law is how the brain is working and the memory that you should have to act and to respond. And
Hmm.
this is the process that should take some seconds, some minutes, and your concentration should be on only one thing. But if you have this inflexibility of time and you don't have this space, then you no longer have this power of deciding what is best for you. So you just consume and consume, and you keep being, let's say, I imagine this like as if you were trapped in this sand that is
Hmm.
moving and that is just constantly pulling you.
Quicksand.
Quicksand, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know the term, but thank
I'll
you
tell
for
you.
helping me. Yes. So this quicksand that is just pulling you and not letting you think in this process, no? And that, of course, is the leading and the root cause of anxiety, no?
Yeah. So that's quite interesting. That's one thing that I found just like off the topic around information overload. In that sense, it was almost kind of like, so I believe that working with AI is a tool. I think we need to use AI to work with us. Um, so I was running a report the other day and it gave me such detailed information. It really was. I was like, oh, this is too much. I need to break this down. I was just like, this is too much. Like, I was like, how do I do this? And I started thinking, I wonder how much. I mean, our brains are going to expand. I mean, we've got such short. We've been training our brains to have such short attention spans as well. Um, but it's almost kind of like I wonder if, in some cases, AI is hindering the work rather than supporting it. And it depends, I think, on how we're using it. But I think that's how you said. It's just sometimes information overload just forces us to like shut down. Right? It's
Mhm.
it's it's it's, it's very interesting. It's the same thing as when we have a to-do list that is too big, it's like we
Yeah.
don't even want to do any of it, right? It's like pick the top three. What are the three? What is the one thing that one? What is the one thing that has to be done today? And then the next, and then the next. Like if anything on this list had to be done, what is the one thing, and where do we start there? Right? It's quite interesting.
And not even the machines have this amount of memory. In case of the machines or the computers, it is called this RAM memory, no? But this
Yeah.
RAM memory is not enough. If you have, let's say, 20 tabs or 20 windows open in your computer, of course that is going to crash at some point, no? Because you have too much information there. So it is just a
Yeah.
matter of time where things are going to start crashing. This is
Yeah.
the same type of phenomena that is happening in your brain. If you have too much things that you are absorbing, your brain is not used to that level of information. So the system crashes and you become completely numb. You don't
Yeah.
feel anything. And these are the people that nowadays I like to call them zombies. And we see more of them in the street, just
Hmm.
walking like mindlessly in the screens and not even watching the street if they are going to hit them
Yeah.
or not. So it's just really, really amazing how frequently you can see nowadays these people driving or walking like
Yeah.
zombies, no?
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is
The lights are coming on.
yeah, nice.
uh, um, but yeah, you're right in the sense of having those too many tabs, and there's so much like yeah, it's a matter of organizing. But the other thing as well, I lost my train of thought with the lights coming on, is the as
Mm.
we're scrolling as well, and as we're moving through it, it's more important to tap into your intuition now more than ever. With AI, you don't know what's real, what's created, and we need
Hmm.
to be able to discern. And connecting into our intuition helps us to discern what is reality and what is not. Right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing that is so important of why we need to know who we are, why we need to get to know ourselves, why we need to trust our intuition. Because everything looks so real these days. It's like, what is real and what is not,
Yes. And
right?
I was watching a guy, it's a scientist. I don't really know his background in terms of what he does, but his label is that he's from the MIT, so he might be an engineer in technology or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And he was explaining uh, a good strategy to detach yourself from this pool of
Mm-hmm.
uh, quickly asking AI everything or depending on AI too much. And
Yeah.
he said that you should write down first your ideas of the topic that you are trying to explain, make questions by hand, writing in a notebook by hand, drawing diagrams or um, just scribbling in
Yeah.
your notebook. And then once you have more, let's say, objectivity or specificity into what you want and what are the kind of questions that you need to ask, then you go into the next level. And the next level is trying to write something without AI in the computer. Once
Mm-hmm.
you have this draft and you just pull out the information that you have without watching or looking for something, then the third level is make it, give it a structure with AI and use
Mm.
AI to give a structure. So
Yeah.
this is the idea in pen and paper and the questions and the drawings or anything that you want to, let's say, mind wandering in your mind. Then is the level of trying to pull more information from you in writing in your computer. And the third level is this researching and giving a structure in AI. So I think or I love that model because I think that that is going
Mm.
to give us the capacity of introspection, of really reflecting, what do I
Mm-hmm.
want? For example, today we are talking about intuition. So
Yeah.
our strategies could have been to write down certain questions in paper and pen, and then
Yeah.
try to write, I don't know, half a page or a page of this information that we are discussing now, and then ask a structure in AI
Mm-hmm.
and ask data and dates and people and all of these things that probably you don't need to remember them, or you don't need to know them by memory, but they are
Yeah.
helpful to give a structure, no?
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that idea. It sounds like a really solid plan because you know what direction you're going in, right? So you're consciously creating that work rather than allowing it to create you, I suppose.
Exactly. That is
Yeah.
the, let's say, the idea and the intention of this strategy, no?
But that's how we used to work in the olden days, as my daughters would say.
Yeah, that that was our level of strategy. I mean, we didn't need to know that before, but nowadays we forgot, no?
Yeah, I think we're so time poor these days that cancel. I mean, sometimes we're financially rich, but we're time poor, right? Or time rich and financially poor. We need to find a balance that works where we're both, abundant in both, right? And I think that is where the world is heading to, where we can make space for it. But we need to start building those structures and that muscle to be able to sit with ourselves. I think that is one of the, and again, COVID is coming up. I think a lot of people, I was very busy during COVID because a lot of people were afraid to sit with themselves,
Hmm.
right? Because we distract ourselves with helping this one, doing that. It makes us feel important, but then we don't sit with ourselves,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's
And
it's very interesting.
what we need to do in terms of letting our brains become wise again
Mm,
is lower the volume of information as
yeah,
as much as you can, of course, and allow yourself to enter into an space that I never know how to pronounce the last name of this researcher, but it was the writer of the book Flow, Mikhail. I don't know. It's a Russian name, but I'm not gonna even try because I don't know how to pronounce it. But well, this guy explained that when you enter into this flow of tapping into this intuition and literally allow yourself to feel this flow of information from bottom first to top, and then from
yeah,
top to bottom, the both ways you
yeah.
enter into a transient hypofrontality. That is the name, the technical name, no?
Okay.
And this is balancing something that is difficult, something that is challenging, and your level of skills that you have, no?
Yeah.
And then while you do that, you temporarily deactivate this prefrontal cortex, and you enter and you engage into removing the analytical mind, and you
Mm-hmm.
let the subconscious start giving you the information and flowing
Absolutely.
up, and then you start activating the monitoring system, and you completely, let's say, obliterate the anxious effect of not
Yeah.
trusting yourself, because you are, let's say, it's what happened, and you explain it when you are feeling that you are going to have an accident, or something
Mhm.
in your body, and your information is telling you that you should not enter this office, this space, whatever it is. It slows down time. no? By slowing down time in your mind and lowering the information level, you allow yourself to enter into the space of giving yourself wisdom from your body, from the information that you know, and then you allow yourself to trust in your own knowledge, in your own, let's say, soul, no?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that becomes more and more important because, I mean, I'm lucky I have a process, a protocol of connecting into the Akashic records. And the beautiful thing, what a lot of people have explained when they are in the records, for me, it's finding that 0 point field.
Mm,
When we do craniosacral therapy, it's we reboot the system. It's all we call it about. We say it's almost like a reboot, but it's that between it's nothing. It's like nowhere. Like it's in the space of complete neutrality. There's no charge, and that's where we receive the information. But that place is calm,
mhm,
which is absolutely beautiful because, and then sometimes I'll get asked a question that might pull on my values or my thoughts, but I know I just breathe and I come back to that calm because
mm,
it's not about me and that's how I can be of service. But it's finding that 0 point field that
mhm,
no longer and not yet. And the way I see it, it's like walking between two worlds where you can see the good, you can see the bad, but you're just walking that line. It brings in the space of calm without judgment, without anything. You're just in the space of zero. And I
mm,
think that starts to help calm the nervous system and it helps your intuition. And there's so many methods of working with your intuition. Meditation's a great form of doing that. Morning journaling, morning pages is a good way because,
mhm,
and you can maybe explain this medically, but the first 10 minutes of the day, we're not completely there. We're still a little bit on the other side. And if you just start journaling what comes to mind, it's actually your higher guidance that's coming through. And then again, then your ego wakes up and says, what's that spelling? What is that meaning? What is that sentence? That doesn't make sense. Then you just stop. But that starts to activate, bringing in from the subconscious into the conscious. So that's another way of activating one's intuition. I work with like the Akashic records for me is one of the ways that I activate that, but it can be as simple as meditation, prayer, but all of these things, these methods take time to stop, to slow down.
And there are other ways that you can do that, that maybe for people that are more hyperactive, and sometimes I receive those messages that they say, I can't stay still and I
Mm,
need to move. Well, if you walk, if you
yeah.
swim, if you
You
run,
run.
yes, if
Yeah.
you run, there is a time, probably 3 or 5 minutes after you start the exercise bout,
Yeah.
that you are going to tap into this wisdom. If you are not distracting yourself with something, of course, if you just listen to nature or even to the noise of the city, if you live in a city, you will enter into a space where your mind is going to start wandering. And after this wandering process of the mind, then you enter into the space of this introspection and you
Mm.
start asking questions. Did I do right by saying this, or did I do? And these introspections and this level of questioning yourself and start, let's say, watching yourself from above.
Yeah.
That's the description that you made in the
Mm.
spiritual realm, no? This
Yeah.
is the, let's say the science way of
Yeah.
doing it. No?
Yeah.
So
I,
both ways
I
work.
I had a client of mine where her meditative space it was when she was on her motorbike.
Mm, yeah.
When she was in the like, and when I was in Canada, I mean, those the roads were absolutely beautiful, like in the hills and stuff like that. She was just like, it's just me, my bike, and the road, and it was just she was hyper focused. There was nothing else to think about but being in that space, that time, right there, being completely present, which was quite incredible. And I was just like, I never thought of that being a form of meditation, but yes, it was. And then I had another client of mine, she even had restless leg syndrome. Like she couldn't even sit still,
Mm,
kind of a thing. And she used to paint rocks
mm.
for hours. And I was like, hey, that's your form of meditation. Time and space dissipate, and your
Yeah.
nervous system calms, and you get your ideas. Another place, which is quite meditative, which some people don't understand or intuitive, is when you're in the shower. Water is an
Also.
amplifier. You're not thinking, wash arm, wash shoulder. It's like you hit this automatic phase. But I say it's very important what you think about in the shower, because your thoughts get amplified because of the
Mm.
water as well, right? So it's quite, there's various modes of connecting
Entering.
intuition. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that maybe we can wrap all of these uh, strategies and, let's say, introspection that we are doing here,
Yeah.
because what are the three things that you could say to people that they can start doing to awaken? As you mentioned, they haven't lost it. They are just suppressing intuition. But how do they awaken to this intuitive wisdom?
Yeah. So meditation is a great way to connect into that wisdom. Trust, trust your gut, trust your intuition. The little bit of intuition that you have to trust it, because it's not a little bit, it's a lot. It's what is the noise. So the more you trust, the more you get. And the third one is eat sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds activates the pineal gland, it decalcifies the pineal gland, and it opens up your intuition. And I'll give you a bonus one as well, that stare into the sun the first 30 minutes of the day, it starts to activate your intuition. But yeah, it's a trust. I've got many methods of how to connect with different parts, but it's not your imagination, it's your intuition. Trust it.
Mhm. Beautiful. And I
Mm-hmm.
will give them also some of them that for me have worked. I mean, exercising is one of them. That's
Mm-hmm.
favorite for me. When I'm in the space of exercising, I enter
Yeah.
this level of flow and reflecting on ideas. Also trying to be in silence at least 3 to 5 minutes, which is not much time, and anyone can have that time. I think just take away the cell phone, take away every screen, and let yourself be in silence for 3 to 5 minutes and see what comes up in your mind. See what kind of thoughts you are repetitively having. And then the last one is also journaling.
Yeah.
Journaling, you can either journal those thoughts and start tracking what is happening in your mind, or you can do the practice that Natasha mentioned, which is what at the moment that you wake up, try to write whatever comes in your mind also, 3 to 5 minutes, and that's
Yeah.
it. With those exercises, you will start awakening your level of intuition, and you will start uh, doing mind exercises so that
Yeah.
your brain starts uh, connecting to the wisdom of the body, and you can connect the three brains, no, the gut, your heart, and your brain, and in
Yeah.
that level you will flow both ways, no.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Thank
Well,
you.
trust your intuition. Let us know if you want us to talk about anything else, what you enjoyed about this conversation, and if you need any clarity on any of it as well. I would love to hear from you. And if you know of any guests that could be on the podcast as well, we're open to receiving guests.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us and for allowing time to introspect with us in this topic. And as always, we just encourage you to share this episode, to give us some questions, to reflect with us about the things that we are talking about. And also, if you have time, just get into the platforms and rate us. Listen to 2 or 3 episodes of our podcast and rate us and subscribe to our channels, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
See
Bye,
you on the
everybody.
next one. Bye.
Bye.
I always lose the stop.